So what's going on? This is Langston 2092. I wanted to do something special, and bring back my friend Pretty Ricky. We've been friends for quite some time. We've had our ups and downs. Times where he's made me laugh, and other times where he pissed me off. Like, prime example, I'm gonna put you out there like that. Prime example, I remember when I was living with him in Orlando, Florida, and my license was fucked up. Oh, I wasn't supposed to curse. My license was messed up, and he was trying to help me out. So he called the DMV, and he was basically telling them, the situation, and they were telling him, that I had about 8,000 driving while license revoked, driving while license suspended, and all the rest of that, right? So he gets off the phone, and he's shaking his head. I'm like, yo, so what's up? He was like, yo, listen. Yo, sir, you ain't getting your license back. He said, you can't even, he said you can't even sit in the front seat. You need to sit in the back seat. Matter of fact, you need to purchase a bike. You know what I'm saying? So it was times like, we've been through a lot, man, and that's my brother, and he has a unique story to tell, and I'm gonna allow him, to speak his truth on my platform, because maybe there's someone out there that needs to hear this, that's going through somewhat of the similar things that he's been through in life, and that they know, being that Pretty Ricky made it out the way he did, they can too. So without further ado, it's Pretty Ricky.
Where was I born? Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York, long time ago. My family's from Howard Houses. So the way Brownsville is set up, there's a bunch of projects. So there's Howard, Tilden, Cephalo, Brownsville Houses. That's all I can think of right now. So you have, 5 or 6 different projects. Each project houses 5,000, 6,000 tenants per projects, right? Glenmore, that's another one. It's across the street from Howard. So Brownsville is by far the epicenter of African Americans. Everybody that's black, you got some roots in Brownsville. Michael Jordan's originally from Brownsville. Mike Tyson's originally from Brownsville. So I was born there. I lived there until 2nd grade. Typical story. My mom was a teenager. Dad was R. Kelly. And I wasn't supposed to say that.
Go ahead.
Dad was R. Kelly. I mean, it is what it is. I tell him that all the time, right? You thought she seemed like she ready, Dad? That's how we doing it? But so Mom had me, and Dad moved Mom out to Left Rack. And I lived out there for a year as a newborn, and then Mom and Dad parted ways, and then me and Mom moved back to Brownsville with my grandmother. Typical, teenage mom, living in the hood, living with grandma. Dad was around. I don't have a deadbeat dad. No siblings at that time, and at least none that Pops ever, claimed at that moment. Later on, different story. We lived there, the usual stuff. Mom was on welfare, My grandmother was a nurse, not like a CNA, no disrespect to CNAs. She was a real OBGYN nurse. She went to college and did the whole thing. She worked at night at Kings County Hospital as an OBGYN nurse. So she worked the night shift. and mom worked the no shift. She was, 18, 19-year-old girl with me, and that was kind of it. We were typical poor people in Brownsville. Lived there until 2nd grade, and then my grandmother basically was like, "Hey, you guys got to go. Like, that's enough. I helped you out. You got to go now." By that time, mom had started working and doing better, and we moved out to East New York, where I stayed until pretty much I was an adult.
Without incriminating anybody, I just want you to talk about your experiences and how it affected you, as far as like what did you have to do as far as a means of survival. Even if it was a thing where you didn't need to do it, but you just wanted to do it because you might have saw someone else do it, like peer pressure and all of that stuff. Like how did living in that point in time like affect you as a teenager and a young adult?
Interesting question. So, first person I ever saw killed was a dude. I guess I can say his name now. He's dead, right? Pop Lefty was the first of the big drug dealers that I had ever seen. And this is like so at our age, we were around for the intro to crack, and Pop was one of the first dudes in the game. Pop had a Jetta, like he was the guy. And I remember we didn't have shootouts. You remember we didn't have this stuff that they have now. You heard occasionally about someone getting shot. It was like a strange story. I mean, you heard more people getting stabbed and sliced. $150, I $150 this guy. Shooting, that was like, we didn't have like guns quite like that to that point. So I remember we were in the park in Howard, and we were by 290, which anyone that's ever been to Brownsville, you know what I'm saying. And 290 back then had these tables. I can't even, you probably remember these. They were like these tables, and they had 2 chairs, and you could play like chess or checkers. So that's where everybody used to play cards, 21, Tunk, whatever.
So they had them in the Fresh movie.
They had in the Fresh movie. Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So remember we were talking about side street dudes and stuff?
Yeah.
Alright, so Howard's here, and then in any neighborhood in Brooklyn, you have your projects, and then you have these little rows of just houses, which you might think is not a big deal, but those houses are worth like $1 million because it's New York City real estate. So nothing ever went on in those little side streets unless you had stuff spilling over from the project. This particular day, we heard pop, 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 pop. Strange sound to us back then. Won't date myself, but this long time ago, right? Not a sound I was used to hearing, especially not at that age. And we got people running back towards the park. They killed left. Pop's dead. It's my dryer.
Long way away from.
Yeah, long way away from what I'm talking about. Yeah, right. So I'm drinking, by the way. Hold on. I probably picked up all of that too. So all these people and women, no offense, women, but you guys make a horrible situation worse, right? Like we've heard he died. Now you got, oh my God, oh my Jesus, So like it's horrific. He's laying there dead, just a mess, as you can imagine. Someone being shot in the upper part of their body, being a mess. That's the first time I ever saw someone dead. Like, I never seen anything dead prior to that. It effed me up. Like, I still remember it. Like, it's vivid. I could still see him, you know, not in good shape, you know, messed up.
So, being that that's the first time you ever seen somebody dead, but that definitely wasn't the last time. So, how does it go? Because, like, I've heard so many stories as far as dealing with people that I've talked to and rappers as well, where it just becomes numb. You know, because me, such as myself, I've never seen nobody literally die. I've been in the middle of shootouts, not that I shot any guns. You know, I've been in the middle of shootouts. I've seen people shot. I've seen bullet holes, but I've never seen anyone like die. Like, I don't think that people really understand, you know, your story. This is the story that I've been told to you. To me, and the whole thing of what stuck out the most was when you had to put the brains, but just explain that part, you know, and just how it made you numb. And
so, leaving Brownsville, we moved to East New York. We think things are better, right? So the pop stuff happened before we leave. It happens like right before we leave. So we think we're good. You know, we're gonna go to East New York. There's lots of white people there still. You know, we're gonna be fine. Not so much, right? So East New York is in the middle of a drug war. So you got City Line, Cypress, Linden Plaza, like these three neighborhoods are at a war. So for me, I could we had a terrace. I could go on my terrace at night and it sounded like I was in a third world country. Just shots after shots after shots. And then the next day you'd wake up and you see shell casings and, you know, sometimes you see blood, sometimes nobody got hit, right? So we go to East New York, you know, the very first couple of years it was fine, but it progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse. The pop thing probably never will leave me till I leave this planet, right? Like,
seeing your best friend with the...
That's never gonna leave either, but...
Which one was worse? I would believe that the brain matter thing, I guess you would have to explain that.
So what happened is, that specific story is, the way it was set up at that point. Now I'm older now. I'm a teenager at this point, right? My projects couldn't go to this project. That project couldn't go to my project. The problem is, we all grew up together, right? So I moved over there in 2nd grade. So I actually started 3rd grade in East New York. So all these people we got beef with are people I grew up with, right? My family's also from the project that we got this horrendous war going on with, right? I had a pass. Like, you couldn't do anything to me because I was good in their projects too. Because I was there from Friday to Sunday because my father picked me up every weekend. So I was there. So how are you gonna do something to me and then you gotta deal with my family who have been here forever, long before you were here, right? But still, they would come to our projects and they would do stuff. And then we go to their projects and retaliate. It's one particular day, we're all sitting outside and word had gotten out that our projects was Power U. That makes sense. Dudes from my projects are soft, is the word that got out, right? They're so soft, we could walk through their projects and nothing will happen to us. So what started happening is they started walking through our projects to test their theory, and nothing would happen to them, right? Because we were a little bit different. We weren't quite living the same life they were living, right? So the projects they were from was like your typical, you know, project in New York. Ours was supposed to be middle class, upper working class. That's not even a thing, but you know. So they decided that we were soft, right? And a lot of the dudes in the projects looked like me. I had a bunch of friends who was like half Puerto Rican, half black. You know what I mean? Like, so they just decided if you're half Puerto Rican, half black, you can't fight. You know, you half Puerto Rican, you half black, you can't shoot. You like that was just the decision they came to. So they started walking through our projects, and they would never do anything, and we would never do anything to them. They would just walk through and start stuff. There's one particular day, there's the person that, you know, whatever. We were sitting on the benches, and they come to us, and they start telling us how soft we are, you know. We're in your projects, and y'all not gonna do nothing about it. Which, they were right, because one of them was standing like this, right? So, you got a gun, bro. We don't have a gun. We're at home. You caught us lacking. Like, there was nothing we could do. You got a gun. Like, you're right. We can't do anything. And this dude, he's like, shoot him. And he's saying the dude's name. It's hard to tell the story because I know everybody involved in the story, right? So the problem with that is he's now challenged his friend to do something, right? And if he doesn't do it, he's got to go back home and deal with the consequences of not doing what they just challenged him to do. And I could see him, you know, he didn't want to do it. I could tell, but he was the idiot, you know, that came to not even a conflict armed. And, you know, he did it. And he did it in front of everybody. And we didn't know what happened, you know. Dude was laying there, and his hands doing weird stuff, you know. And I'm like, what the hell happened, you know? Why is he laying there? What? Like, get up. Everybody else ran, you know. And I'm not even trying to portray that I'm hard or something. I just didn't know what was going on, right? And I know that everybody else is running. He's not running. And I don't know what to do. Like, should I run? Like, because I know them. I'm going to see them Friday when my dad picks me up. Like, what am I supposed to do? And he's doing weird stuff with his hands because his nerve endings are still firing, you know, but he's dying. And yeah, man, he had brain matter, and head was messed up. And I was a kid. I was a little boy. So I thought, well, maybe we push him back in. Who knows what could happen? But needless to say, he didn't make it, obviously.
So my thing is, it's obvious that you are highly intelligent and that you know, you made it out of the situation, you know. I just want you to explain to, you know, the audience that how you made it out, because I mean, it's obvious that it's certain things you can't talk about. It's just that plain and simple, without incriminating yourself or just other people. So just, can you build on basically how you made it out of that situation and, you know, where you are right now at this point in time?
I left East New York. I moved away. Moved to Crown Heights. And not that that's better. So I keep making these bad choices, right? In my family, we have this history of trying to, let's try to do something take a different approach and go somewhere else, and turns out else is worse than where we were coming from. Crown Heights wasn't nearly as bad, but so how did I make it out? I didn't. You know, I was lucky. I wasn't what my friends were. A good chunk of them didn't make it out. They were into the streets. They loved the streets. They wanted to be a part of that. I didn't want to be a part of it.
About how many, just, you know, not like giving deep thought towards it, but just about how many people that you knew personally that were your friends have died?
I don't want to say their names. So, like, it's a big number, man. It's a big number. So, we were a gang. Everybody in the neighborhood had their little moniker, their little name that they repped, right? So, if you're just talking about that crew, so anyone that's from the projects, you know, you have 100 friends, right? You have 100 friends. And then you have cliques that you like out of this 100. Now I'm cool with 100 dudes, but like this 20 is my 20, right? But then you got cliques inside of the clique, right? So if you're talking of the 100 dudes I knew, 50 of them are dead, you know? 50 of them didn't make it to the age we are now. And then if you narrow down my cliques inside of cliques inside of cliques, I think 2 of us are left. So, you know about one of my boys that, and not all my friends died either. Some of them got life. So that's like death to me because I'm never gonna see him again. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the 100 people, and that's not nearly an accurate number, it's probably more. But of the 100 people I grew up with, and these were my boys, probably 50 of those dudes are dead, in jail. And of the 50, you figure maybe 30 died some type of violent death. Maybe 6 died from like natural causes.
So we're gonna wrap this up because I'm trying to get Pretty Ricky on the old channel to talk about guns and gun safety, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. He may be tired, I don't know, but I just want to end it like this. Far as dealing with, you know, your past and like how you met me, like up to that point, when I met Pretty Ricky, it was kind of like he was on the edge, you know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like you said, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You already know the story. If you know, looked at a lot of my videos, I included him in, you know, as far as my story and everything. And just to see him evolve into this person, you know, like we had our differences like in the very beginning. Oh, go ahead.
So, yeah, you know what? This is how you make it out. This is how you make it out, right? You make a decision. You have to make a choice. The choice is, does your neighborhood mean more to you than your life? That's the choice, right? And my choice was, my life means way more to me than my neighborhood, right? Because I know my neighborhood doesn't actually love me. I mean, we got into some stuff, but we're not going to get into everything because there's no way for me to actually tell you and them everything without incriminating someone, right? But I've seen dudes who grew up together shoot each other in the midst of a dice game. I told you about homeboy died in the lobby. We didn't even know he was shot because the bullet closed. Yeah. And we watched him die. We didn't even know he was shot. Like, he's like telling us, you know, like, things are not good right now. And we're like, yeah, but you're good. You're not bleeding. Like, you're fine. And he died. you know, and that was like a good dude. He wasn't even really into the stuff we were into, you know. He was affiliated. He was good in the hood. You couldn't touch him. You touched him, you had all of us to deal with.
Someone such as myself.
Like yourself, like I told you, you were good in the peas. That meant something back then, right? But you have to make a choice. Is the hood and the streets more valuable than your life? Then fine, then you live by the code. Then live by the code. Don't Takashi it out. Like, live by the code. Something happens, live by the code. Your best friend dies, live by the code. That's the code. If you decide that the streets is the choice that you want to make for your life, then you gotta live by the code. And part of that code is, it could happen to you. You might be the person doing it to people, but one day, somebody's gonna do it to you, and you can't complain about it. It's just, it has to be that way. If that's the life you want, more power to you. But there are other options. And the problem is, we don't know what those options are. Because the problem is we leave, right? People make it out of the hood and they don't go back. They're so happy to be out of the hood and not a part of that. They don't go back and say, hey, listen, come here, let me talk to you for a minute. Hey, by the way, there are other options. You can still be cool and drive a nice car and have pretty girls and not have to shoot 6 or 7 people to do it. You know what I mean? Like, matter of fact, I didn't shoot anyone ever, and I feel great. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not worrying about the cops. I feel great. I don't have any, what do the kids say? Ops. What a dumb thing to say. Ops. You should be shot for saying ops. But I don't have any ops. I live my normal life. I go on a vacation. I buy a car every few years. You could have that life. You could still be the guy and be cool without killing your own people. You can't. There is another way. And if you're interested, when people come to you and tell you that there is another way, you should listen. But the problem is, everybody knows everything. No one can take advice or criticism. Everybody already knows, because Earth and the world started the day they were born, right? So no one knows anything else but them. They're God, they're Jesus, you know? That's the problem. That's why what you're trying to accomplish with, you know, these videos and talking to these kids, it's gonna be it's a challenge for you, because they know everything already. They don't want to listen to him. They see a dude with some gray in his beard and they're like, I'm not listening to him.
He's old head.
But here's the thing, I'm older than you. Yeah. Guess what? That means I've been here and I made it, right? Some of your friends are never going to see my age. They're dead, they're gone.
And I mean, you're right when you talk about the youth and how they don't you know, pay attention to us. They don't want to listen to us, and they call us names like old head. You know, not knowing that, you know, old heads pack. You know, we have CCWs. You know, this, you know, it would still be dangerous. You know, but at the same time, it's not about that. What it's about is that we educating the youth. You know, and that a lot of times, as far as dealing with the black community, we have this, it's so cliche as far as dealing with the Willie Lynch syndrome, but I'll say it for the sake of this, you know, video, that we have this Willie Lynch syndrome, where it's the old versus the young. Whereas what Pretty Ricky is saying, it makes 100%, you know, sense. You know, it's just the truth. Like, we have been here for the longest, you know, however age. You know, we don't want to throw out dates and years and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah, we've been here. So it is very wise for you to listen to someone such as myself and Pretty Ricky and others that are older, because they can school you on life. And I'm a big advocate of listening to someone that has already made mistakes and learning from their mistakes, so I won't have to repeat those mistakes. So I'm gonna say, excuse me, I'm gonna let Pretty Ricky have the last word, and then we're gonna end it.
think you said it all, man. That's pretty much it, right? Like, listen to the elders. They know stuff you don't because you haven't had the experience yet. As much as you think you have, I promise you, your viewers, the young ones, they look at me and they're like, come on, dude. Come on, man. You weren't really about that life. I hear you. I can see your point. When I was your age, I probably would say the same thing about myself. But I promise you, dudes that make it to my age, what's his dude's name? Rick Ross, the real one. Yeah. Dudes that make it to that age where I don't dye, I don't do any of that. I don't shave I don't Beijing, I don't do any of that, right? I don't cover this up because for me, where I'm from, that's a badge of honor. You see what I'm saying? A good chunk of my friends never gonna have a gray hair in their life because they died at 18, 19 years old. That's not the move. This is the move. Being old and living a nice, peaceful life and drinking too much is the life, right? Like, I had too much to drink. I feel pretty good. I probably slurred. I couldn't do that if I was dead. So, exactly. You know what I mean, right? If I was dead, I could be tipsy right now. I kind of like being tipsy right now. So, it's your choice. Live or die. Honestly, I don't even truly care. It's kind of up to you, you know.
So, he had his last words, but I want to have mine as well. Like, I just want to say this. We have, like, history together. And I would have never fathomed in my mind when I first met him. We was in our 20s. Mid-20s, right?
Not even.
The early 20s, right? Yeah. I wouldn't, I could never fathom this. I have my brother here in the same city. It took years for us to reconnect, like physically reconnect. And just to know that we've been through things, I've been through my own situations, and he has, and just to know that we're still friends and we're still alive, and that we can actually plan for the future, and say, hey, listen, you want to go to Jamaica, you want to go to Barbados and just laugh and have fun. Yeah, you can call us old heads all you want. I don't care. Just to know that I have my friend that's still here on this planet, and the same with him, vice versa, and to know that we made it, man, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. And the question to you today is, do you still have your best friend? I know, what is his name? Lil Durk was best friends with King Von. Dead. Don't have his friend anymore. It's just that plain and simple. So, one other thing too. Our rappers manage to stay here. What Queen Latifah is the equalizer now. Method Man is in power. Mary J. Blige is in power. Our rappers are still alive. Your rappers are and thriving, making money. Your rappers are dead in their early 20s. No, matter of fact, sometimes 18, 19. So my point in making is, you want to shit on the 90s and how, we old and we this and we that, but we're still making money. The corny thing is dying early. The cool shit is making money when you in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And still, I gotta keep, I'm gonna end it with being ghetto. Still fucking these bitches at that age. I'm just being real. It's just that plain and simple.
Fair enough.
And y'all motherfuckers that's dead, of course you can't. You got fucking what is it? What's the shit that's maggots in your penis? It's just that plain and simple. Your rappers and your dead homies right now have maggots eating their brain matter. What? No, they take out the brain matter, right? And internal organs. What do they leave?
That's a whole different.
Yeah, it's a whole different topic. But you get it. Your dead homies are 6 feet under. It's that plain and simple. Sky's the limit for us. So I thank him for sitting down and you know, talking about his past, because he didn't have to, you know. And I hope you appreciate it. And hopefully when you go to the old channel, you can get to see some more, you know, of Pretty Ricky. We'll see, you know. It just depends. Other than that, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share the video. Peace.